Hello, Earth. My name is Christian Finnegan. I am a comedian, uh, writer, actor, douche. Um, I am performing this weekend at Comics Comedy Club, which is 14th and 9th in New York City. One show Thursday, two shows Friday, two shows Saturday. But I am also on the current TBS show, Are We There Yet? And I make frequent or somewhat semi-regular appearances on Countdown with Keith Olbermann. And you may also know me from Chappelle's Show. I was the white guy in the Mad Real World. Best Week Ever on VH1. I'm just going to list credits to make you think that I am valid. I got into comedy because I have no marketable skills. I worked in offices and none of it worked out for me. I am exceptionally disorganized, and worse than that, I'm also like, I go from 0 to 60 in the sense that the first week that I work at an office, I would be like, hey, is there anything I can do for you? And then nobody respects you. And then after a week, I would be rolling my eyes and being really passive-aggressive, like, yep, I'll get right on that. And so I'd be unlikable in two different ways. So I decided that real work wasn't for me. And I went into comedy because basically I feel like the world should have to hear what I have to say, but I don't have the discipline to write a book or to learn anything. Stand-up comedy is a great career for people who are very egocentric, but also lazy. Best Week Ever was a show that ran on VH1 for about 3.5 years, and I was one of the original people on the show. For people who may remember, it was sort of a talking head, a rotisserie of nobodies like myself, making fun of celebrity genitalia and people who actually had bona fide careers. But it was very nice. I will say by the time the show ended, I probably had expended everything I had to say about Lindsay Lohan's vagina. But it took 3.5 years to exhaust the full well of celebrity vag material. I will say I've never auditioned for Last Comic Standing, and there were a couple of years where I thought about it, had misgivings, because I have seen how much it can help comedians' careers. I mean, certainly on the road, it really does help you get bookings and fill seats and stuff like that. The power of TV is strong. And this year, I will say, what I've seen of it this year, it seems much more like a respectable venue for stand-up comedy. But I always have felt that the show, it was kind of designed to make stand-up comedy look not respectable. I felt like as much as they acted that they were looking for the best comedian in the country, it was really just like all pot shots, and not even just the beginning auditions, which is in every reality show, like, look at these weirdos, but even as the episodes went on, it was like they would make the comedians do these sort of humiliating stunts that had nothing to do with being a comedian and living in that house, and it just seemed all very stupid. But I know plenty of people who I respect the hell out of who've gotten a lot out of it, so, all the power to you. And I will admit that I think part of my fear is, like, every time I watch one of those, like, semifinal episodes, and they'll have all the people up there at the end, and I'll be like, oh my God, that dude's amazing, and she's amazing, and all that. And they didn't show those guys at all. It's like, that's the last thing I'd want to be. It's like, if I was going to be on the show, I'd want to at least be on the show. I don't want to be just seen standing in the background awkwardly applauding for some awful 2-year open micer who they think is going to make teenage girls watch the show. Yes, I am currently on Are We There Yet on TBS, Wednesday nights, 9 and 9:30. It's been a really amazing experience. It's being on a sitcom is really nothing that I aspire to in an overt sense, but it's been really kind of neat. I mean, it's a very traditional sitcom, and it's not really for me. It's for families. It's for kids. It's a show that kids can watch with their parents in the room, and they'll both be entertained. I mean, but it's not 30 Rock, and it's not SpongeBob. It's something in between. And so it's not a show that I ever would have kind of pitched myself, but it's a very kind of traditional Cosby Show kind of sitcom, which is neat in the sense that, like, when I was on Best Week Ever, there weren't really talking head shows when I was a kid, so I had no sort of connection to that. But being on, like, a sitcom, essentially playing the wacky neighbor, is weird. It's trippy, because I have so many memories of being a kid and watching, Different Strokes or, Happy Days or, whatever, the Brady Bunch. And so I'm kind of on one of those shows. And so it's kind of neat to think that there are kids who are watching now who might be 10, 11 years old who are going to remember this show the same way that I remembered. I wouldn't, maybe Happy Days is overstating, and I'll lower the bar. The way I remember Joni Loves Chachi, maybe. Australia is wonderful. I am so thrilled to be home. It's nice to hear people who can properly form an O sound again. And it's really hard to do a good Australian accent, but like the word no, it's like nay, nay, nay. It's like noi. But sometimes I would just think it was almost like a mantra in my head, just hearing Australians say certain words like no. It's so weird. There are weird people. It's a very white culture, and I say that it's not a positive, not a negative or positive. It's a kind of place where dudes will just air guitar openly without any fear of being mocked. In fact, like, one guy could be sitting there air guitaring, and another guy would walk up and just be like, "Hey, good on you, mate," and then they'd start air guitaring with him, and neither of them would think that was weird or kind of corny. So it's like, but there's something very lovely about it. It's a very guileless country. People are they're very honest with their opinions. If they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. And it's also nice to be in a country where I didn't feel like I was an alcoholic. Here in America, people are concerned about me. There, I may as well have been wearing a dress. I don't mean to sound sexist. Women in Australia, you're alcoholics too.